Welcome to Counter-Narrative News today on Saturday, the 7th of January 2023, bringing you the daily news. Prince Harry's comments in admitting in part of his new book that's going to be published called Spare that he killed 25 Afghans while serving in the British Army and occupation of NATO and Afghanistan back in 2008 has created a huge furore in the British media between especially the British establishment as it pertains to the military institutions and spokesperson on the one hand, and Prince Harry's comments on the other hand. The British military establishment is nervous that Prince Harry's very brazen comments about being trained into othering Afghans and not seeing them as people, and so being able to kill them without any real guilt, has exposed a very real part of the racist British military culture and establishment. Counter-Narrative News, in the first tomorrow of a week in review on Sunday mornings, will be a special on exactly this subject. President Biden of USA has been criticized by migrant groups as to the deal that he's achieved with his Mexican counterpart in returning some 30,000 refugees and migrants crossing the US-Mexican border into the US. In this deal, 30,000 Venezuelan, Haitians, and others across the southern part of the Americas will be forcibly removed back to Mexico. Migrant groups have criticized this, saying that it's an absolute legitimate migrant route and migrants have an absolute right to go to the US border and apply for asylum. There is nothing illegal in that. Actually, that's correct and proper. The increasing migrant flows from South America into Central America to the US-Mexico border is one of the greatest issues for humanity in the region. Not only are Latin American people taking this migrant route up, but also many other people from other regions of the global south, including many people from South Asia, because you can land in the capital of Ecuador, Quito, without a visa. Iran has executed 2 young people who've been found guilty of attacking and killing one of the besieged forces of the Iranian state. It's a very sad state of affairs in Iran, whereby you have this confrontation between a popular movement opposing the systemic misogyny within the state on the one hand, and the Iranian state doubling down in response. This is a formula for further tensions and societal divisions in a traumatic way going forward for Iranians. Mali has now pardoned, that's the ruler of Mali, Colonel Goita, has pardoned all the 49 soldiers from Ivory Coast, which has somewhat concluded this confrontation and controversy between Mali on the one hand, the Ivory Coast, and the wider Ecowas regional body. All parties seem to have climbed down in this situation, not only the Malian authorities, but the Ivory Coast and the United Nations as well, have said that not proper procedures were followed in the entry of the Ivory Coast soldiers in the UN mission there. Steve Bannon, one of the most influential far-right and neo-Nazi leaders on the planet, a close advisor to Donald Trump, has admitted he met one of the most influential and leading ultranationalist leaders in Russia, Dugin, in a meeting in Rome in which they spoke for some 12-13 hours. Steve Bannon argued that actually Dugin is not as anti-US as other people would suggest, that he is a very positive figure, and that Steve Bannon had warned Alexander Dugin that the Russian state should not, as it goes forward, develop a closer relation to Beijing and China. This all reflects a number of things. One, that there is a joint enterprise between the far right in the West and the far right in the so-called East, especially in the case of the Putin and Dugin leadership in Russia. Two, Steve Bannon in his comments confirms Donald Trump's strategy of, on the one hand, manipulating an alliance with Russia in order to then strategically dump China in possibly a case of military aggression. It was widely reported that one of Donald Trump's last acts as US president was to try and conduct a bombing raid in China, to which his senior military chiefs scuppered and stopped from happening. Please join us tomorrow morning and Sunday morning on a longer weekend review focusing on Prince Harry, his comments and the controversies around that. Please continue to subscribe, like, comment and share. Many thanks.